What happens when one of music's most beloved, rising stars comes face-to-face with America's sweetheart, and everything goes sideways on live television? Studio 6A buzzed with anticipation, but by the time the cameras rolled, the air was electric, almost suffocating. Teddy Swims, born Jot in Dimsdale, was supposed to be the star of a routine promotional interview celebrating his latest album and the meteoric rise from bedroom covers to sold-out arenas. The audience, a mix of longtime fans and newcomers, erupted in applause as he stepped onto the stage. But behind his confident walk, something was off. Kelly Clarkson, radiant as ever, greeted him with warmth that could melt steel. "Welcome back to the show, everybody. Our next guest has one of the most incredible voices I've ever heard, and his journey is absolutely inspiring. Please give a huge welcome to Teddy Swims." The audience cheered, but Teddy's usual charm was muted. He nodded politely, offering a tight-lipped smile. "Thanks for having me, Kelly. Always great to be here." Kelly pressed forward, unaware of the subtle tension. "Teddy, your new album is so vulnerable. You really bare your soul in these songs. How difficult was it to open up like that for the world to hear?" Teddy's jaw tightened. He leaned back slightly, choosing his words carefully. "I don't think of it as bearing my soul. Music is supposed to be real, supposed to connect with people. I just tell the truth about the human experience." There was a sharp edge in his tone, almost invisible to the audience but palpable in the studio. Kelly smiled, nodding, oblivious. "Absolutely. And that honesty is what makes your music so special. I read about your journey, going from struggling financially to now achieving this level of success. You worked in a warehouse, did odd jobs, now you're a major recording artist. That must have been quite the ride." Teddy's smile faltered. He shifted in his chair, the tension mounting. "Everyone's got a story, Kelly. Everyone works hard to get where they are. I don't think my story is more special than anyone else chasing their dreams." The atmosphere tightened further when Kelly mentioned mental health. Teddy's shoulders stiffened, his gaze locked onto hers, piercing. The audience clapped, oblivious to the change. "Kelly," he said, cutting her off mid-sentence, "I need to stop you right there. I think there's a misunderstanding about what I'm comfortable discussing today. Mental health isn't a talking point for your show." Kelly froze, eyes wide. "Oh, Teddy, I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable. So many of your fans have said how much your openness has helped them. I thought it would be meaningful to discuss." Teddy's jaw tightened further. The room fell into a hush, the polite veneer of a daytime interview cracking as something raw and urgent began to surface. "Meaningful to who, Kelly?" Teddy's voice cut through the hum of the studio, sharp as a blade. "Meaningful to you and your producers who probably spent 5 minutes Googling me before this interview. Or meaningful to the people actually struggling with these issues, who don't want to see their pain turned into entertainment." The production crew exchanged nervous glances. The audience stiffened, sensing a shift, though they weren't sure what had changed. Kelly, flustered but determined to salvage the conversation, leaned forward. "Teddy, I promise that wasn't my intention. I've had my own experiences with mental health. I would never want to trivialize something so important." "Then why does it feel like that's exactly what's happening right now?" Teddy leaned closer, his voice rising with controlled intensity. "You've got a whole segment planned on my personal struggles, don't you? You're going to probe my darkest moments so your audience can feel good about themselves for 5 minutes before moving on to the next story." Kelly's confidence wavered. "That's not fair, Teddy. That's not what this show is about. We celebrate people's journeys, their triumphs over adversity." "Celebrate?" Teddy let out a bitter laugh that echoed through the studio. "Kelly, you don't celebrate someone's mental health struggles. You don't turn someone's pain into feel-good television. That's not celebration. That's exploitation." The word hung in the air, a bombshell that made the audience squirm in their seats. A few exchanged uneasy glances, unsure whether to applaud or brace themselves. Kelly's face flushed red. For the first time in years of hosting, she seemed genuinely at a loss. "I think you're being unfair," she finally said, her voice defensive. "I built my career on authenticity and being real with my guests. I would never exploit anyone's struggles. That's not who I am, really." Teddy's retort was cold. "Precise. Then tell me, Kelly, what exactly did you expect when you brought up my financial struggles, my personal life, my mental health, all in the first 10 minutes of this interview? What was the plan here?" His words landed like a volley of precise shots. Kelly straightened in her chair, her instincts on high alert. "The plan was to have a conversation about your music and your journey, to connect you with your fans, to let them know the person behind the incredible voice they love. By digging into the darkest parts of my life," Teddy interrupted, his voice low but fierce. "By treating my personal struggles like part of my brand. Kelly, I came here to talk about music, not to be your inspiration story of the day." "You're reading way too much into this," Kelly countered, her tone edged with irritation. "I ask all my guests about their journeys, their challenges, their triumphs. That's what makes for good television. That's what makes people feel connected." "Good television," Teddy repeated slowly, letting the words sink like stones in the air. "There it is. That's what this is really about, isn't it? Not genuine connection, not authentic conversation, just good television." The tension in the studio was palpable. Audience members shifted in their seats, exchanging uneasy glances. This wasn't the warm, supportive Kelly Clarkson show they had come to expect. This was raw, unfiltered, almost too real for broadcast. Kelly inhaled deeply, fighting to regain control. "Teddy, I understand that you're feeling defensive, but I think you're mischaracterizing what we're trying to do here. Many guests have appreciated the opportunity to share their stories in a safe space. Teddy's gaze didn't waver. Safe space. Kelly, when your version of a safe space involves turning personal pain into sound bites, it's not safe. It's performance. And I didn't come here to perform for you or your audience. I came here to talk about my music. The studio fell silent, the cameras capturing every tense heartbeat, every flicker of emotion. For the first time, it felt like daytime television had lost its script and Teddy Swims was holding the pen. A safe space. Teddy's eyebrows shot up, his voice sharp. Kelly, you just spent the last 5 minutes digging into the most vulnerable parts of my life without even asking if I was okay talking about them. How is that safe? I thought Kelly began, her tone slipping into a faintly patronizing cadence. Based on your previous interviews and social media presence, that these were topics you were comfortable discussing. Teddy's jaw tightened. So, because I've talked about these things before, I'm obligated to talk about them whenever someone asks? That my personal struggles are just public domain now? His hands clenched in his lap, fingers tapping a restless rhythm. That's not what I meant, and you know it, Kelly insisted, leaning forward. I'm trying to give you a platform to inspire people who might be going through similar struggles. Teddy shook his head, voice low but cutting. There it is again. Inspire people. Make me into your inspiration story. Kelly, I'm not here to be your cautionary tale, your success story, or whatever narrative your show needs. I'm here as a human being who makes music. The studio shifted uncomfortably. Audience members exchanged nervous glances, some craning toward the exits. Producers in the wings signaled frantically, but Kelly held her ground, determined to maintain control. You're being incredibly unfair right now, Kelly said, her professional mask cracking. I've done hundreds of interviews, and no one has ever reacted this way to questions about their journey. Maybe that says more about the kind of questions you ask than it does about me. Teddy shot back, his tone steady and deliberate. Maybe everyone else was just too polite to call it what it is. Kelly's voice sharpened, hurt and defensive. And what exactly is it that you're calling it? Teddy paused, choosing his words like measured blows. I'm calling it surface-level masquerading as depth. I'm calling it exactly what I said before. Exploitation dressed up as inspiration. The words hung in the air, a weight that made the studio almost vibrate. Whispers spread across the audience, cameras lingering on Teddy's unwavering gaze. For the first time, the familiar warmth of daytime TV felt stripped away, leaving nothing but raw honesty and the uncomfortable tension of truth confronting performance. Kelly's face palled, then flushed red, a storm brewing behind her eyes. You know what, Teddy? I think you need to check your attitude here. I've been nothing but respectful and supportive, and you're sitting here attacking me in my show. Respectful. Teddy let out a humorless laugh, sharp and cutting. Kelly, you ambushed me with questions about my personal life. You tried to turn my struggles into content for your show. And when I called you out, you told me I was reading too much into it. How is any of that respectful? I did not ambush you, Kelly shot back, her voice tense. These are standard interview questions. This is what talk shows do. Standard for who? Teddy leaned forward, eyes narrowing. Standard according to what? Just because something's common doesn't make it right. He shifted in his chair, posture braced, every muscle radiating controlled frustration. What had started as a routine promotional appearance had unraveled into a philosophical standoff about celebrity interviews, privacy and exploitation in entertainment. The audience stirred uneasily, some transfixed, others fidgeting in discomfort, unsure whether to watch or look away. Kelly took a measured breath, trying one last time to regain control. Look, Teddy, I think we got off on the wrong foot here. Why don't we start over and just talk about your music? That's why you came here, right? Teddy's expression hardened, the damage too deep to ignore. No, Kelly, we can't just start over. You can't just pretend the last 10 minutes didn't happen. This is exactly the problem. You dig into people's lives, make them uncomfortable, and when it backfires, you hit the reset button like nothing happened. Kelly's composure wavered, teetering between professional poise and rising frustration. Teddy, I'm trying to give you an opportunity here to talk about what you actually want to talk about. An opportunity. Teddy's voice cut through the tension, incredulous. Kelly, this isn't a favor you're doing for me. I'm here doing you a favor. I came to promote my music and instead I'm being treated like a case study in overcoming adversity. The studio fell into suffocating silence. Even the cameraman froze, unsure whether to keep rolling or cut away. This wasn't just awkward. It was uncharted territory for daytime television. You know what? Kelly finally said, her tone harder than anyone had heard from her before. Maybe you're the one who needs to check yourself. I've been doing this for years, and I know how to treat my guests with respect. Do you, though? Teddy's challenge was calm, deadly precise, because from where I'm sitting, respect would have been asking me what I was comfortable discussing before we went live. Respect would have been treating me like a person, not content for your show. Kelly's eyes flashed, anger searing through her carefully constructed mask. Don't you dare lecture me about respect after attacking me in my show for the past 15 minutes. I invited you here, I welcomed you with open arms. And this is how you repay. Teddy cut in sharply, sitting up straighter. Kelly, this isn't personal. This is business. You need guests for your show. I need to promote my album. Somewhere along the way you forgot I'm not just content to be consumed. The tension in Studio 6A was electric, the audience holding its breath as the battle lines were drawn. Two worlds colliding, the polished, practiced world of daytime television and the raw, unfiltered reality of a man demanding to be seen on his own terms. I never treated you like content, Kelly shot back, her voice rising, trembling between indignation and frustration. I treated you like a guest, someone I thought would appreciate the opportunity to connect with fans, to exploit my personal struggles to turn my mental health into a talking point. Teddy's voice cut through her words like a knife. Each syllable was sharp, deliberate. Kelly, if you can't see how problematic that is, maybe you shouldn't be hosting a talk show. The words hit Kelly like a physical blow. Her face drained of color, then flared red. How dare you? She said, voice shaking with a mix of hurt and fury. How dare you question my ability to do my job? I've helped countless people through this show. I've given artists a platform when no one else would. Artists like me. Teddy's eyes narrowed, seizing on her phrasing. What exactly does that mean, Kelly? That we should be grateful for whatever scraps of attention you throw our way. That we should just sit here and answer whatever invasive questions you decide to ask. That's not what I meant, Kelly stammered, but the words sounded hollow even to her own ears. Is it though? Teddy pressed, leaning forward, intensity radiating from every muscle. Because it sure sounds like you think I should be grateful just to be here, grateful enough to let you poke and prod at my life for your audience's entertainment. Kelly's hands tightened on the desk, her composure slipping. You're twisting everything I'm saying, she protested, but the conviction was gone from her voice. I'm not twisting anything, Teddy said firmly. Every word deliberate, precise. I'm refusing to play your game. The game where celebrities have to spill their pain for public consumption, where our vulnerabilities become feel-good segments, where our trauma is a punchline, a lesson, an inspiration story for someone else's comfort. The words fell like stones in the studio, heavy and unavoidable. Kelly's throat tightened, her face paling further. Teddy, I think you're being really unfair. You don't know me, you don't know my heart, she interrupted, desperate to reclaim some footing. Your heart? Teddy cut her off sharply. Kelly, your heart doesn't matter when your actions are causing harm. You can have the best intentions in the world, but if you treat someone's trauma as entertainment, then your heart doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. The word trauma hit Kelly like a thunderclap. Her lips parted, pale, silent for a moment. I would never ever treat someone's trauma like entertainment. That's then what would you call what just happened here? Teddy pressed, relentless. You brought up my financial struggles, my mental health, my personal journey, all without asking permission if I was even comfortable discussing it. What is that if not turning my life into entertainment? For the first time, Kelly went quiet. Her gaze flicked down, then back up, conflicted. The weight of his words pressed on her, undeniable. I asked those questions because they matter, she finally said, voice shaky but firm. People want to see their heroes are human. That they've struggled. That they've overcome challenges. It gives people hope. At whose expense, Kelly? Teddy's voice was unyielding, cold, at the expense of the person sitting in this chair reliving their worst moments for your cameras. You want to give people hope. Play their music. Let their art speak for itself. Don't make them bleed for your audience's inspiration. The studio fell into stunned silence. The audience shifted uncomfortably, sensing the raw edge in the air. The cameras continued rolling, capturing a moment that would linger far beyond the broadcast, an unfiltered confrontation between manufactured empathy and unvarnished truth. The studio had fallen into an unnatural quiet, so complete that the hum of the air conditioning sounded deafening. Kelly's eyes darted toward the audience, many of whom now watched her with a look she hadn't seen before. Curious, unsettled, almost skeptical. This wasn't the warm, nurturing Kelly Clarkson they thought they knew. Her voice dropped, smaller, defensive. I'm trying to do something good here, Teddy. I'm trying to create a space where people can be authentic. Real. If that's wrong, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. You're supposed to ask, Teddy said simply, his tone calm but razor sharp. You're supposed to treat your guests like human beings with boundaries instead of assuming that because we're celebrities, everything about our lives is fair game for discussion. Kelly's jaw tightened. You know what, Teddy? I've been more than patient here, but I'm not going to sit here and let you lecture me about how to do my job. I've been successful at this for a reason. And what reason is that, Kelly? Teddy's gaze didn't waver. Because you're good at making people comfortable enough to spill their deepest secrets on national television. Because you've mastered the art of disguising voyeurism as empathy. The words struck hard, precise, cutting straight through her professional armor. Kelly's composure flickered. You are being incredibly unfair and hurtful right now. I don't deserve this level of attack. Teddy rose from his chair, his full height suddenly imposing, dominating the small stage. Kelly, I'm not attacking you, I'm setting a boundary. I'm saying I'm not comfortable with the direction this conversation has taken. And instead of respecting that, you've spent the last 20 minutes convincing me I'm wrong to feel uncomfortable. The audience sat frozen, some leaning forward, some recoiling slightly. What had started as a light promotional taping had transformed into something raw, jagged, unfiltered. Kelly remained seated, her tone slipping into almost pleading. Teddy, please sit back down, we can work this out. We can find a way to make this work for both of us. No, Kelly. Teddy replied firmly, unflinching. We can't because you still don't understand what the problem is. You think this is about compromise, about making it work. But the problem is that you thought it was okay to ambush me with personal questions in the first place. I didn't ambush you, Kelly protested, but her words sounded thin, fragile even to herself. You did, Teddy said evenly, letting each syllable land. And now you want me to pretend it didn't happen so we can have a pleasant conversation about my music. But I can't. I can't flip a switch and erase the last 20 minutes because they've shown me exactly how you view your guests. How you view people like me. Kelly inhaled sharply, trying to regain control. Teddy, you're being really unfair to me right now. And honestly, you're being disrespectful to this show. Teddy leaned forward, his eyes locking onto hers with an intensity that made the space between them feel smaller, hotter, charged. Disrespectful, he said slowly. No, Kelly, I'm being honest. I'm being real, and if telling the truth about your actions feels like disrespect, maybe that's a problem you need to examine. The audience shifted uneasily, sensing the magnitude of the confrontation. This wasn't just an interview anymore. It was a reckoning, a mirror held up to the polished world of daytime television, reflecting everything the cameras usually glossed over.